Hello everybody, welcome back to the How to Buy a Horse course. So today we are going to go over what you need to have before a horse lands at your property. If you're sending your horse to boarding, if you don't have like acreage or whatever, don't worry, I'm going to add a little checklist at the very end of the video just for you. Let's get started with lesson 2. One of the more important things you are going to need is you are going to need a shelter for your horses. So our shelter is a barn. We have a porch for them to come under when it's raining when they're out in the pasture. And we also will have options inside of our small paddock for little run-ins. There's lots of different options for shelter, so if you're keeping your horse at your own property, be sure to go and check out what you can afford and what's best for you. Okay, so while I'm in a shelter, I'll talk real quick about the do's and the don'ts. So step 1 is secure fencing. You don't want to have barbed wire if you're building it. Like, if you're building it from scratch, don't do barbed wire. Also, don't do just electrical fence. I know a lot of people do it, and that's fine, but it's not my favorite. I prefer to have like solid wood, because if a horse plows through it, all that electric shock is going to do is scare them further and make them have a bigger reaction and run faster. Another thing you're going to want to do is within your stalls, a lot of old barns and buildings have tin walls. You're going to want protective wood blocking all that, because a horse can stick their foot through that tin, and then you have huge vet bills and months of rehab. Something that people often don't think about until they already have their horse home and they're like, oh my god, where is it? Water. You need a water trough. That's just an absolute, it needs to be here before your horse gets here. Other things you can go and buy day of, like you can go and grab a feed bucket. You can get a feed pan. You can buy feed day of, especially because occasionally owners will not tell you about the feed till you go and pick up the horse. Need a water trough here in whatever pen that you're planning on keeping your horse. Something else that you have to have is transportation for your horses. So especially in my town, we do not have travel vets. So we have to take our horses to the vet whenever they need care. So we have to have a trailer. I know somebody who didn't have a trailer and their horse got hurt, and they were just calling around asking for help, but they couldn't bring their horse anywhere. So one of the more important things for you to get is a trailer. There are plenty of cheap used ones on Facebook. I personally sold one of my older trailers for about $2,000 on Facebook, and it was still a well-functioning trailer. It just wasn't big enough for what we needed. The last thing on our list is tack. So at bare minimum, you are going to need a halter and a lead rope. That is what you need before you bring your horse here. Now, what you're going to need next for just basic riding is a saddle pad, a bridle, and a bit. You should be able to get information from whenever you're buying your horse on what bit to use, and you should be able to get a saddle on Facebook Marketplace relatively easily, saddle pad as well. A bridle and a bit you might have to buy new, but that's perfectly fine. They're about $50. Okay, so the last thing that we are going to talk about real quick is just these little checklists that I went ahead and put together for y'all, so you can screenshot them, have them saved on your phone. You can also always come back and rewatch this video whenever you need to find what you need to buy. So I have our big need checklist. All this needs to be there before your horse lands. What would be nice if you had checklist. And finally, the awesome things checklist. For you boarding barners, people who are planning to put their horses into boarding barns, I have a step-by-step list for you to get a boarding barn. I would recommend that you check your lesson barn first, because if you've taken lessons there long enough, that is honestly one of the best places you can go, because you know the people and they know you. That is the end of lesson 2. If you have all this stuff, go ahead and move on to lesson 3. If not, then make sure to stop, at least make a plan to get all these things done, then move on to lesson 3. See you there.